There was really no reason to have a Rotary Club when I came in 72 because it was a ghost town.
Came here in 69. Main
Nothing.
Street, first there were so many blank lots, and then so many of the buildings boarded up and about to fall over.
As a family, we'd go to ghost towns, and I drove up the street and I went, a ghost town here. That's what it was.
Park City was actually in a book on Utah ghost town.
Did you come here from Wyoming?
At the University of Utah, going to school and teaching down there. I was actually born in North Carolina, but I was raised in Wyoming. My father was an architect in Casper and had a practice there. And I went to school all over the West and then ended up in Salt Lake. I was actually on a Defense Department grant. So I lived in Salt Lake, and my girlfriend was graduating mid-year from Montana State and was moving back to Salt Lake. We drove up to Park City, and you guys all remember Mike Ivers.
Right.
Well, at that time, there were no full-time real estate agents in Park City. That fact alone just shows the change. But Mike Ivers grabbed this key ring that was about this big around. He says, I'll show you some places you could rent. So we went to this 4-bedroom house with all the linen, TVs, silverware, plates, everything. He said, I'll rent it to you for $100 a month.
Oh, wow.
I said, okay, I'll
Does
take
the
it.
house still exist today?
Yeah, it's right across, it's on Marsac, and it's right above the city hall. It's got a white picket fence that I built around it. I think it's still painted yellow. We moved in 69. It's sociology, actually. But I have a master's degree in architecture, which a lot of people go, how'd you end up with sociology? I needed some way to continue going to school. First year I was there as a Defense Department grant, and then I had a fellowship from architectural psychology. Then the head of the sociology department says, why don't you come and teach? And so I was a teaching assistant.
That was a heck of a drive back then.
They closed what's now the interstate. We had to drive over into Immigration Canyon
To get to Salt Lake. And it would be closed all the time. They had avalanche stuff going. The big boulders would roll down
Oh,
on
yeah.
the road, and it was a nightmare to go to Salt Lake.
I remember Oscathorpe's cows would have to cross the highway twice a day to
Oh,
go over to the milking
Oscathorpe's.
shed. Had these frost heaves. I know you'd almost get airborne going down the highway.
I didn't drive that fast.
I thought I'd be late for class.
Yeah.
My job was interacting with the city, and we had to get a HUD report, letters saying, oh, there's enough to handle the sewage, there's plenty of water, the schools can handle more people. I had to interact with the city staff and the city council, and I just realized they didn't have a clue what was about to happen. And I actually got elected to the city council in 1970. I served 2 years with Rich Martinez and a guy named Clem Hansen. He was in charge of the miners union, and who else? Eleanor Bennett.
Yeah,
Do you remember
Eleanor
Eleanor?
Bennett.
Yeah, and then Steve Deering was on for 2 years with me.
John Price, surfboard guy. City councilman up in the old city hall upstairs.
Above the museum. I can remember being there when there was an earthquake, and that building started to shake. And being an old brick building, I thought, this is
done.
it. And below us was the fire station, and they had a fire engine
Working fire.
where the museum is now on Main Street.
That was, yeah, it was the days when these shoulder seasons, you could literally go to Main Street and see one car.
A guy helped me move up from the U to at the 4-bedroom house. It was April, and I said, well, I'll buy you a pizza. We walked down the China Bridge when it was actually China Bridge to
Yeah.
Main Street. You didn't see another car on the whole. We walked up to the Red Banjo Pizza and got a pizza and not another car.
That's where they had a store to rent movies on Main Street.
It was the Silver Wheel Theater. Town was a little bit different back then.
And how about Art Durant? He had the hardware store on Main Street. And I remember buying some pipe from him. It was like a 20-foot length. And he said, open the front door. And he ran the pipe out the door, across the sidewalk, into Main Street while he was measuring how much he was going to sell.
He'd always say, come on in, dummy.
Anything you needed. He'd say, just give me a minute. And you'd hear him go upstairs and
Rattle
back
around.
with whatever product you wanted.
Well,
It's
Skip
crazy.
Scherf and I at the time were remodeling a house, and we didn't know how to do plumbing. We did our own plumbing, our own electrician, so we'd go in and he'd tell us how to do it.
Yeah.
Then we'd go do it.
Yeah.
Which group was Skip in when he came to town?
Skip Scherf, he came in 1972, and he came to build a duplex for Harry Reid and myself. Skip had hair down to here and wore a bandana.
And Harry Reid had just come back from Vietnam. We had the homestay condos. They were apartments
shack.
from Wyoming from the missile sites, but we called it the train wreck because it was
That-
all just stacked on top. Harry had the unit right next to me, and he was with Madeline at the time.
I remember the day that Bill Coleman walked in, his first day in Park City. He came and helped with the reports for housing and urban development. We had to compile this huge list to be able to sell in California. Bill got his license when I did, and John Vrabel, Dusty Orrell, who else was there?
Well, Hal and Judy were living in the apartment above the house that they finished building their house on Claim Jumper Court in 1974, and they were the caretakers of the house on the corner of Hidden Splendor Court and Thames Canyon that American Savings and Loan owned, and I was charged with hiring a caretaker for Hal for that property that Hal and Judy moved into their new home, and so I hired myself. That's how I got to Thames and up to Park City. And Research Homes, the Hardman family, was building all of those homes along Payday Drive, built
Right.
down in a factory that we had financed in Granger,
Yeah.
and then Hardman's brought them all up. The big Salt
That was
Lake
a big
name
deal,
that
yeah.
you would know.
You sold a lot of product to them, if I remember right. Yeah.
Did.
And Warren's house or lot was at the end of Hidden Splendor Court, and Stein was next to him.
Right.
My first purchase, they got their financing from, I think, Union Bank out of California. Last
Bill
name was
Stevens.
VOLK, I think. And I bought the lot next to Warren King's lot. That was my first purchase. And Warren was there, and the ski guy, Woody
Anderson.
Woody
Woody
Anderson, who
was
did the
next
ski
to
resort over
Stein.
in
Stein, and
Did
then
you
I
build
bought-
a house in Thames?
No, then I sold that and bought in Park Meadows Phase 1 on Red Maple Court in 1978, I think. And Hal was living in Thames at Jumper Court. And I had somehow met him and got him on the board along with Ken Lott and Jerry Knudsen and all of these Salt Lake wealthy guys, and Jack Dozier was on.
Yep, on your board
You
at
had to
Summit.
ha- I had to, back in those days, you had to be local. You had to sell so much of your stock to local people who lived there. They couldn't own more than 10%. It was pretty broad. And Jerry was on board. We went to 2 board meetings in Hawaii, and you were on
Yeah,
board to Seattle to get chastised.
Yeah, and I've never been more pissed off than I was
It
then.
was back. they
We
pretty much
had to
beat-
go.
They beat
Speaking of horses, remember the experience we had with, what do you
horse.
call 'em?
the horses. Or,
Yeah, we were hunting. And we were on our way back, and we got into our cocktails, and you
Oh,
had, you
yeah,
had
yeah,
steak,
yeah,
you
yeah.
had steaks, and we were,
yeah, we rode up through Oscarthorpe, which was not a.
yeah.
That was a dangerous adventure because
at
he
the
would.
end of his
he would
34.
get a gun out and threaten you. So I convinced Jerry to go. We rode up through his property up over the ridge to the Desolation Lake. I said, we'll go have some steaks up there, and we had a nice steak dinner. And then we rode back down, slightly inebriated. Got a little bit lost here and there, and we finally got back to our property where you live right now. I'm loading up the horses, and I see all these little lights flashing. I said, I've had too much to drink. He said, I think I have too. I said, you see those? I said, yeah. They were fireflies.
Oh,
I've never seen them before or again in Utah. I think it was marshy or something there.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen them there?
No, I haven't, but.
Oh, well,
it
you didn't
hadn't
drink
been.
enough.
There's been
Yeah.
times I wonder, but
There were fireflies flying all around us. It was bizarre.
An hour as we were getting out off that meadow.
so you put Jerry on a horse and went up there.
feed him cocktails.
Robin would say that he would get permission from Mary Lemer to go across the
Her
Lemer
property,
property,
yeah.
and we would get up there. And then Oscar Thorpe, with his grandson holding onto his pants and his 30-30, we had to turn around. He says, well, you guys are not supposed to be here. So we went back down. We would come back up the High Ute side sometimes.
Oh.
He turned us around more than once. We weren't doing anything. Maybe Locke never got permission from who he said he got permission. He just didn't like you up there. And when you would see what people would do at that little lake, we would sometimes ride the horses
Right.
in.
Trash everywhere.
Yeah. And I don't blame him for
Just below there is where I encountered Oscar Thorpe. It
Well,
was
he-
uncanny. It
We
was
should have bought the Jeremy Ranch.
Oh,
That was my biggest nightmare.
was that Virginia Savings and Loan that
That's
you were part
exactly
of?
right. That's exactly. Well, we bought the Fed
Took
took
it
it
over,
off
right?
of Virginia, and then literally put it up for sale. And that's what I got involved in with a guy that
You ever?
You mean
yes.
your partner?
the
That was
Dale Eastman was my partner.
Oh,
Yeah. And things were going pretty well. I keep trying to assemble what we're talking about. The book, it's about this like here.
that thick.
I remember the guy who ran Virginia Beach Savings and Loan lived in the community, and his wife became school superintendent, Nancy DeFord, and her husband
Knew
ran
her
Virginia
husband,
Beach
yep.
Savings and
I knew
Loan.
that guy.
So the savings and loan, Dean, when did you sell it at some point?
I sold everything to this guy out of California. He bought everybody's stock, to include my own. And then
This is after your meeting in
it
Seattle?
was in 1984, and then things went pretty much downhill after that. And it was 1985, 1986. I got taken over. April 15th,
That the feds
1986.
took it over.
Yeah.
That was a terrible time in Park City. Everybody seems to think it's been such glorious times.
David, we've seen
went
it.
through some
I
horrible.
think 5 different
There are
down
people
periods.
today that have never gone through anything, which makes me nervous. I know what a bad
in a
bug
long
it is.
time. I guess we have to say we had COVID
It's
and
all-
we had some terrible things going on, but
Real estate prices never go down.
They did-
2008, 9, in that area.
the .com.
That's after it was a great financial crisis. I certainly got caught up in that.
A lot of people did.
When was the real savings and loan crisis?
1984 to 1988.
I know when Greater Park City Company went down, that was 75, 76. Greater Park City Company had their own construction firm and was
With the
building
Athletic-
as Three Kings, then Payday, and then Crescent
Crescent
Ridge,
Ridge and
and then Park,
Park
Avenue.
Avenue.
Did you buy a Park Avenue condominium?
He did. You bought one at the fire sale.
Oh, well, you bought 5 of them, okay. But that's when Vic and Rob Morris got established in Park City.
That's how I got involved in it.
$30,000 or something.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I robbed Moore's family and Marv family. They were very tight in those days, and close, and Rob and his brothers. And
But Vic Ayers was part of that too,
Yeah,
wasn't
Vic.
Yeah. Whoever financed it took it over from Greater Park City Company.
yeah, I was in before that. I was in when you could buy, which I did, and I called 3 guys that were very well heeled and I know well, and I said, you know, and Bob Wagoner, he bought. I didn't want 5. I bought 5. $30,000.
Condominium unit. But wasn't it all Salt Lake Country Club people that bought
A lot of
so
them,
many
a
of
lot
them?
Well, I had been designing that project, so I was in the middle of the downfall of the corporation, and it was making me nervous because I knew I was not going to have a job. And they just kept cutting quality, cutting. And you remember that the heating of the place was a brick heater.
And no, just brick walls.
They didn't insulate the inside of the walls. It was just a masonry wall, so there was no insulation. The people that bought them went crazy because their
electric
heating bill
bill,
was more
yeah.
than the mortgage of the condo.
I got out fast.
Funny,
I
you know.
called Bob Wagoner,
Yeah.
and he bought two. And who else? Hy Saunders.
Oh, okay.
Oh, God.
And I was a partner with him.
I had a lot of conflicts going all the way back to when I was on the city council.
Oh, the water issue was huge.
All about water.
Jim Tenford and Harry Reid had a janitorial business, and they had their office on Main Street. Skyline Realty.
We had the Chinese restaurant Jimmy Goo's, where the Silver Queen Hotel is now.
John Jenkins had a restaurant in there called the Wooden
I
Nickel.
went to Jimmy Goo's because Chad said, "Oh, we got Chinese food here." I remember going in there and getting my Chinese food, and half the plate was mashed potatoes. And I said, I ordered the Chinese thing, and he looked at it. That is the Chinese thing. I went, oh, okay.
That's not too long ago.
50
Mid
years ago.
70s.
And Utah Coal and Lumber.
Nick and
Pal, I had my first wedding reception in the Utah Coal and Lumber.
Your first, huh?
First.
I went to one of yours at the country club. Yeah, you must have, did you have one?
Yeah, I did at
it's
Park
neat.
Meadows. I remember when
turned
Greg
it on.
Scherf got married. That one, because that was the craziest
I
of all.
remember a pretty unusual.
I remember Skip Scherf talking about he's breakdancing in a rented tuxedo rolling around on the ground because they had a tent over the asphalt parking lot.
I remember Ted Ward telling me something, and I don't know how he survived half his.
Bill McComb's bachelor party in a Park Avenue condo. Plus, the person we haven't mentioned is Adolf. Now, he was a character.
And he had the White House on Park Ave. John Jenkins would take pads of butter and get them to stick on the ceiling of Adolph's, and then someone else would come in and eventually they'd fall down. The old days in Park City. There's too many stories we shouldn't tell now. Tom Clyde. Tom was city attorney, but he used to tell me that it would be so stressful. He lived at his ranch in Woodland. He decided to stop. I had hired Tom to do his column right before I sold the newspaper.
He is probably the best water attorney in the state of Utah.
Yeah.
Oh, by far, yeah, they were great.
Yeah, I used them for this property.
Oh, you did?
When I did some stuff, yeah. And I actually have Tom wrote my CCNRs for here when he
Oh.
left the city.
Tom has written more articles of incorporation for more nonprofits. Well, I got him to do it for Mountain Trails Foundation.
Oh, okay.
And it's from then on, he just did so many of these nonprofits. I think he said over 100 he's written for pro bono for these nonprofits.
Very good writer.
He
Yeah.
is one of the best. He did the Follies, and I went this last year, and he blamed me for his career writing the Follies. He did it on stage. I just happened to be in the audience. He says, "No, all of this is because of Jan Wilking." And I went, "Oh, yeah." I was there with Bob Richer, had a big group for somebody's birthday. I know he had the whole front row of the Follies Reserve when he said Jan Wilking. All of them stood up and went, "What?" Yeah, but he is good. I love his columns.
Yeah. The fun part about this was reminiscing about our histories and all the people that connected with one another and made this place what it is.
Park City Performance.
Save Our Stage, we bought the theater and we leased it to Randy. Because we had so many failures, one group after another, we said we have to be the landlord and control because we didn't want the theater to go under.
It's thriving now.
But anyways,
David, thank you for getting us together.
yeah.
And Jerry, it's so great to see you again, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, look what you started.
We are the old timers, as they say, the last of the Mohicans. Keep the history of Park City out there in future generations to know what happened here.
You've done a great job getting us started, David.
Well, thank
So
you.
thank you.
And thank everybody for coming, and we'll see you soon.